When my cousins and I convinced ourselves that the pile of logs in the woods behind their house actually led to a secret door, we spent multiple hours attempting to excavate it with our bare hands, no questions asked, because we were children. We were never going to find anything, we knew that, but that's not what matters when you're a kid. It's about letting your imagination run wild in the process. Were we just pushing logs around? Sure. But we were assigning each other superpowers in the process to do so. And at the end of the day, that's what we were talking about. That's how you make a core memory. I think back on this time in my life with great fondness. It encapsulates everything that I think about when I think of childhood joy. Is what I would have said last week. See, about a month ago, my wife and I got dinner with my uncle, who, despite being very much employed, possesses the niche pop culture knowledge of someone who is very much not. We as a society have unanimously decided that this personality type is that of a coworker. Do I want to see this beheading video you're trying to show me on Live Leak? Honestly, I'm not sure, but I know you're gonna show it to me anyway. Now, while my unc would never do something that chopped, he did at this dinner manage to send me down a week-long rabbit hole that I will never forgive him for. The Curse of Oak Island.
In this History Channel reality show, a team of men in their 60s engage in the same activity my cousins and I did when we were kids, with the same level of enthusiasm. And it's actually kind of sad. In 2006, brothers Rick and Marty Lagina obtained a controlling interest in Oak Island, Nova Scotia, which, according to legend, is home to a great treasure. Imagine a world where Rick and Morty never existed. Yeah, imagine what the world would feel like if you could walk into a smoke shop and just see these guys plastered across the wall. Fuck! Makes me want to listen to my favorite song. Come on, DJ, run that shit up one time. Let's go, let's go. Around 200 years ago, some curious fellas decided to start digging in what they believed to be an interesting spot on the island, now referred to as the Money Pit. Shortly enough, every 10 feet, they were met with a mysterious platform of logs, which pissed them off so bad that they stopped at the second platform. Hey, I would too. Further excavations followed, eventually achieving a depth of 90 feet, where a stone tablet with strange inscriptions was discovered, along with some chains and fragments of wood not native to the area. But what's most important to know is that all of this took place allegedly. Little is known about the exact details of early excavations and their results, yet for centuries, people have continued to search the island for treasure. And the best part is, they don't even know what they're looking for.
Certain people say that it's Knights Templar treasure. Another theory is that it's something from the Spanish plundering of the New World. And then there's some people who credibly believe that it's the lost manuscripts of Shakespeare.
Yeah, you're wasting my time. I also recognize that you're wasting your own time, which is very fun to watch, so I'm sad. Time, however, is not the only thing being wasted here.
How much money do we have invested in this? We have millions of dollars invested in this.
Which we will recoup at some point.
Well, Marty, when you sell your energy company for $58 million, I suppose you can do whatever you want. But just know, we are not going to feel bad when this inevitably does not go your way. Also, when he says we have invested millions of dollars, he's definitely just talking about himself.
I work for the Postal Service in the U.S. and just retired.
Maybe do that hillside by the Triton shaft.
Hopefully now can devote full-time to the study of the Oak Island mysteries.
Do not get me wrong, okay? I have a great amount of respect for postal workers. Cleveland Brown and Pingu are two people that I would lay my life down for in an instant. That being said, they are severely underpaid. So while I don't think Rick is bringing much to the table here financially, he certainly seems to bring the passion. It makes a lot of what you're about to see feel like a super irresponsible make-a-wish. Yeah, I hate to say it. Actually, no, I don't. So, how does one start an investigation like this, you may ask? Well...
Okay, here we are. Fabled Borehole 10X.
Well, This is 10X, a 235-foot hole in the ground created 50 years ago by island resident Dan Blankenship. Placed about 180 feet away from what is believed to be the location of the money pit, 10X was intended to be an alternate route to the treasure that would avoid a supposed booby trap that stopped the original excavators years ago.
Dan lined the 8-foot-wide hole with steel, cut from old railroad tankers. But at a depth of 90 feet, one of the metal casings collapsed and nearly crushed Dan to death. His son, David, rescued him in the nick of time.
Oh, thank God.
Eventually,
Thank God! This is where any rational person would stop. And Dan Blankenship did. But don't get it twisted. It's not because he almost died.
eventually, 10X flooded too, and Dan later abandoned it when he ran out of money.
So Rick and Morty believe, I'm sorry, I can't help it. I know it's such low-hanging fruit, but I think about Rick and Morty every single time. They believe they have the tools and knowledge necessary to finish the job. And money. It's mostly money. They also possess Dan Blankenship's final piece of evidence. Underwater footage taken at the bottom of 10X.
When he examined it closely, Dan was convinced he could identify wooden beams, antique tools, tunnels, and what appeared to be treasure chests.
You just made all that up!
I could suspend my disbelief for the beam and the fucking tool, but come on, where do you see a box here? Trust me, if I spent all that time and money just to get crushed in my own homemade death hole, I'd be kicking myself too. But at some point, you gotta walk away with the dignity you got left, you know?
Could that evidence still be down there, some 30 years later?
Nope. But here we are anyway, preparing to replicate that same video of nothing captured by Dan Blankenship all those years ago. Marty has called in his friend from engineering school, Craig Tester, to help them send a special camera to the bottom of 10X. This camera is called the Spectrum 90.
The camera is the Spectrum 90.
Hey, you had me at Spectrum. I'll take 20. I'll take 20 of those. I'd like 20 Spectrum 90s, please. After collecting the footage, Rick and Marty head to the home of none other than Dan Blankenship, who I was surprised to find was still alive. Upon seeing him, however, I quickly realized that this meant he was also very, very close to death. There is quite literally no time to waste. Dan Blankenship is on the brink of death for the second and final time. If he doesn't see this footage yesterday, we may never know what the fuck he was cooking with that box.
I've spent 6 years with Dan, and I've watched time take its toll, the passing of his wife. But in that moment, you can see him just kind of lean forward in the chair, and he was back in 10X again.
What depth is that? There's that damn anchor or something there.
Oh, shit.
Back in the 70s.
I'm sorry, guys, he was gone. Realistically, what are we going to achieve here, right? Dan Blankenship is 50,000 years old. Even if he were able to identify one of the supposed shapes he saw in his old footage, it doesn't change the fact that all they've done here is draw a box on the screen. Well, as the team is listening to Dan's ramblings, all of a sudden, and I'm not making this up, the footage mysteriously cuts and wipes itself clean.
What the hell happened?
What the heck was that? What's going on here? What happened to our screen?
They're not opening, they're not playing, they're at 0000 time.
All of a sudden, poof. Like many things about Oak Island, it's there and then it's gone.
Clearly this show expects its viewers to be watching with an L on their forehead and a finger in their butt. That was the dumbest shit I have ever seen.
But who needs legitimacy when you're working on an island that allegedly everyone and their mother from history has a connection to? It's such an easy scapegoat when things go wrong, which is exactly why we are dropping the camera thing and pivoting hard.
Oh man, what is going on? I'm hungry! There's nothing to eat! Don't worry, guys. I was just kidding before. That was a bit. I don't have to worry about what's in my fridge today because of today's sponsor, Cash App. Have you ever wanted to design your own custom debit card? Have you ever wanted to do that with Cash App? You're about to lose your mind. You can decorate it with stickers, draw. I decided to write big dollars inside this card. Sky's the limit. Truly. But it ain't just the card in the name, folks. Being a Cash App customer gets you exclusive discounts on things like coffee. That is loud. Being a Cash App customer gets you exclusive discounts on things like coffee, video games, and food delivery. There are no hidden fees, no monthly charges, no minimum balances. This card is available to everyone ages 13 and up. However, if you're under the age of 18, you'll just need a parent or guardian to help you open a sponsored Cash App account. Cash App customers over the age of 18 can earn $10 when they use the code CASH10 at sign-up. All you have to do is send a friend $5 within 14 days. And it's all yours. If you're between the ages of 13 and 17, all you'll have to do is get a parent or guardian to help you set up that sponsored account I mentioned before, and then you can go ahead and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. And the rest is history. Terms apply. Thank you, Cash App. Look, I'm using the tap feature.
We want to get down to the bottom of borehole 10X.
Good, right there.
So I'm convinced you need to pump water out of there and try and bring up with the water all the stuff that's down in that cavity.
Basically what they end up doing here is pumping a bunch of water into this sediment tank, which they'll eventually sift through and theoretically find something. In the meantime, however, the show has decided to absolutely 100% go off the goddamn rails. Yes, we will find out what's hiding inside of the slush dumpster at the end of the episode. But not before we spend the entire second half of it being dragged by our nuts through the most ridiculous filler content of all time.
This is what you're going to use when you pump out the sediment.
Yes.
Dan Blankenship and Rick Lagina share a special bond. They are united in their determination to solve this 200-year-old mystery. Incredibly, both men were inspired by the same article about Oak Island that was printed in the Reader's Digest in 1965.
Like, what are you talking about? That's not a special bond. That's a coincidence. Show me some treasure, man. Jesus. Anytime, and I mean anytime the narrator starts talking, you know it's about to be some grade A bullshit. He's not your everyday, average, run-of-the-mill narrator. No, bro is a full-blooded yapologist. If you told me half of the stuff that guy said was improv, I would say yes and. Here's an awesome example. While working on the slush dumpster filtration system, Rick spots what looks to be an old tree stump on the shoreline.
I've never seen this before.
Never have you?
And many times I've been in Smith's Cove, I've never seen that.
I've been here a lot too, and I've never seen it.
Oh boy, here we go lying again. You've definitely seen it before. If you've spent time here, you've most definitely seen it before. I can't take it, someone hold me back. Before they start saying anything too stupid, however, the narrator chimes in to remind us who the real idiot is.
A wooden tusk sticking straight out of the water? But how did it get here? Is it a natural formation? A marker? Or could it be a booby trap? Meant to puncture the hull of any boats that came ashore looking to steal Oak Island's mysterious bounty. It's just one theory among many on an island that knows how to keep its secrets.
Okay, right now, I know what you're thinking. They're gonna dig up the stump. No. This is a booby trap, so obviously that means the booby trap from the Money Pit legend must be true. That's how this works. Let's ride around on a boat for the rest of the episode talking about these drains. Oh my God, these goddamn drains. They are convinced that the water they're dealing with underground on an island can only be the work of a man-made drain system in an area called Smith's Cove. It drives me so insane. I can't figure out if they're ignoring middle school science intentionally or if they're actually just that dumb. Perhaps both. Have you been to the beach? Have you dug a hole? You should know how this works. I think they do. That's the thing. It feels like they're playing pretend right in our faces with tens of thousands of dollars a day. They're basically dumb Phineas and Ferb. They know they probably won't find evidence of a drain system, but they also know how fun it is to get on a boat and theorize about the island for a couple of hours. And somehow it's taken us all the way to the end of the episode, where finally we have some sediment to look through. Was the wait worth it? Let's find out.
We're gonna have to go over this with a fine-tooth comb. That's what this is all about.
It's exciting. Lord knows what you're gonna find.
Well, I don't see a lot, but I mean, the bottom line is we're getting a lot of stuff. Wait. Now that is very peculiar. That's metal, Rick.
Yeah, no. Inside a rock, too.
Oh, you thought there was more? No, no, that's it.
Let's fucking go, baby! I knew it was all gonna be for something in the end, yes! Yeah!
Now, I'm sure you can understand how I was feeling at this point as the viewer. Defeated, embarrassed, assaulted. But I cannot deny that my distaste for this episode of television only made my curiosity grow, especially upon finding out the fact that this show has been running for 13 seasons. I feel like I aged an entire year watching one episode of this show. There is no chance in hell that I am ever going to make it through 13 seasons of The Curse of Oak Island. No, I can do like one. Luckily, season 1 of The Curse of Oak Island is shorter than your average season, only containing 5 episodes. So my goal was to find out if within these 5 episodes, I could find what felt like a stopping point, a conclusion of sorts. I don't know. Maybe like an actual discovery. No, maybe that's too much. Before we torture ourselves with that, though, I should probably explain what the curse on this island actually is.
There's the famous Oak Island legend. 6 people have died, then a 7th has to die.
In search of the treasure.
In search of the treasure, and that's when all will be revealed.
Oh, God. Okay, I hate to do this. For context, Dan Blankenship did end up passing away in 2019. So, according to legend, this would effectively make him lucky number 7. That said, I wrote the line I am speaking right now on November 26th of 2025, and season 13 of The Curse of Oak Island premiered about 3 weeks ago. Rest in peace, Dan Blankenship. We have the watch. And I'll see you in Valhalla. All right. Where do we go from here?
Suddenly, Marty sees a large rectangular stone. It's covered in dense undersea vegetation. Is this one of the anomalies Tony was referring to? Or could it be evidence of one of the 5 ancient box drains?
Slow down, please. This episode covers 2 things: rocks and coconuts. What you just saw is a diving expedition led by this guy, Tony, that takes up about a third of the episode. He has mapped out what he believes to be numerous underwater anomalies, one of which is 3 rectangular stones, which just so happen to be facing directly towards Smith's Cove.
3 rectangular-shaped stones line up the coast of Smith's Cove and pointed directly at the money pit? A coincidence of nature? Or could it be a link?
Say could it be one more goddamn time, bro. See what happens.
Not really sure what was achieved there, but it does seem that it warranted a nice little happy hour. Okay, I can get down with that. All right, here comes the shit bag. Sorry, folks, I'm trying my best to condense this in a digestible fashion. Doing a terrible job, that's fine. They're actually bones. This guy Jack sifted through the slush dumpster and found a bunch of bones. He thinks they're really cool.
Here's what I'm wondering. If there is the possibility that these are actually human bones.
I know Dan can speak to this. There's supposedly a body down in that cavern in 10X.
That's completely true.
Shut up. Just shut up for a second. Stop rationalizing every single thing that you find just to keep yourself going. It's actually so annoying to watch, man. The main focus of the episode is locating evidence of coconut fiber on Oak Island, a material not native to the land. According to many unreliable sources, coconut fiber was used as a filter for the man-made drain system and has been located on the island before. In fact, this guy Dan Henske claims to have found a mass of it himself 20 years ago. He was the other excavator working with Dan and Dave Blankenship on 10X. He also might be out of his goddamn mind, as the narrator lets us know.
To this day, he insists he's seen ghosts, demons, and other strange occurrences on Oak Island. One time, several years ago, he became so frightened, he stripped off his clothes and swam naked back to the mainland. All he took with him was a globe of the Earth, a textbook on advanced calculus, and a copy of Elvis and Me by Priscilla Presley.
That has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. Unfortunately, though, he's right. After an entire episode of passing around a sample of what they believe to be coconut fiber, they are able to confirm that it is indeed coconut fiber. But what exactly does this prove? Well, what it does prove is that some ships have probably been moving through this area for a very, very long time, which is, that's pretty cool. I did some research and learned that coconut fiber, also known as coir, can probably be found on most coastlines in the world. White coir is commonly utilized to craft lightweight items like soft ropes, fine yarn, twine, and netting for fishing. In fact, coir rope has been used since ancient times for ship rigging because, unlike other natural fibers, it doesn't sink in salt water. That's cool. Yeah, but I bet you wish you would have taught us that. Instead of lying, huh? Episode 2 overall feels like an attempt at tying the bow, but without any actual substance. And once again, I think they know that, because episode 3 opens with a reverberating smack to the face. Backhand. Sunburnt.
According to some Oak Island theorists, the money pit never contained any treasure at all. It was nothing more than a ruse.
God damn it, are you serious? I'm done. I'm serious. I don't care about this video anymore. Cash App can wait another week. Oh my God, I am so excited to watch this episode.
Years of the land taking shape has formed a swamp at one of the edges of the island. According to Dan Blankenship, however, that bitch was carved by hand and it's got treasure. He believes this can be proven by locating non-native stumps of old trees. These were allegedly used by secret societies or some shit to mark the location of the treasure from afar. I don't know. It's dumb. This sucks. There is a little bit of drama in this episode. Rick cuts down a tree in the swamp and almost kills the kids, which is totally on him, by the way. Hey, cameras are rolling though. We gotta make the most of this. Let's go.
Heads up. You think you're in the clear and you're not? I mean, if the chainsaw's on, something's happening and someone could get hurt. And God forbid it were you two. I'd leave this place. Stay conscious at all times of what's going on around.
Look at this guy. He's literally trying not to laugh. Okay, so here's the plan with the swamp. They're gonna drain it. I looked it up. Okay, this is something that can be achieved. Can it be achieved here? I'd give them about a 30% chance.
To do this, they're going to use 2 95 horsepower pumps and 5 miles of hose.
4 right here.
4?
Yep.
It's an operation that will take several days and cost tens of thousands of dollars before the team will be able to find out what might have been buried there.
Good God, that was backhanded as hell. Do you not want to be here either? I'm glad they decided to lay that out for the audience in detail as if it's such a sacrifice. Look, like I said at the beginning, We do not care. We don't even get to see him do it until episode 4 anyway. I mean, come on. We know how this show works at this point. Oh, speaking of things they didn't have to do, they brought this old guy to the island who was the sole survivor of an excavation accident years ago to tell his story for the first time.
The memories, they're as plain as day. I can still see it.
He's clearly traumatized by it all, and it's very sad, especially considering the fact that they didn't need the information at all. No, they need his longtime friend Lee Lamb, who lost both her son and husband in that very same incident. She gives Rick a bunch of her late husband's journals, which from previous investigations suggests the existence of a so-called mystery box at the bottom of the swamp. What I will give them here is that they finally secured primary source information on paper. You know, at least at this point, they have something somewhat legitimate to work off of.
While helping Dan and Dave Blankenship dig Borehole 10X back in the 1970s, Dan often complained of having a series of nightmares. Nightmares that nearly scared him to death.
No, I'm sorry, guys. As much as I'd love to cover the Dan Henske ghost hunting section, we still have 2 more episodes to cover. And I'm dying to see someone Badlands chug this swamp.
Call it coincidence, call it the curse. Everything that can go wrong on Oak Island goes wrong.
Yeah, sure, whatever, man. Time to start fixing it. Chop, chop. Episode 4 introduces Peter Amundsen, a documentary filmmaker that is about to share the craziest reach of a theory that we have seen so far.
I actually claim to have found the treasure map leading to Oak Island, concealed in codes, and the book I'm talking about is the Great Folio with the plays of William Shakespeare.
Wow, I am tired.
It's called the Northern Cross.
Using a globe of the Earth and one of the stars, Peter then matches the location of the Cygnus constellation to a geographic destination on Oak Island. Specifically, the area on the island known as Nolan's Cross.
Oh no, I forgot about the cross. Nolan's Cross is a series of rocks on the island placed in the shape of a cross that the team seems to think is significant. No, yeah, I guess that's it. Not that bad. Anyway, let me just lay this out for you, okay? The constellation thing came from one of Shakespeare's works, all right? And it matches up with Nolan's Cross. We know that. Somehow that connects to the Tree of Life, which creates a 3-dimensional map of the island leading to a point called the Mercy Point that just so happens to be located in the swamp. Pretty simple, right? What you really need to know is that from this point on, nothing else in the season 1 arc matters except for the Mercy Point. But there's a problem with that, because while they've finally got the swamp drain up and running, it's not working very well.
Frustrated by the amount of time it's taking to drain the swamp, Rick and Marty have hired a local helicopter to see if they can get a better idea of their progress from the air.
Yes! See, this is how you problem solve! When you're millions of dollars deep, what's a couple thousand more in the name of the hunt? Am I right, folks? Look at this for a second and really think about what's going on. It would be more entertaining to literally watch these guys throw cash into an incinerator for 40 minutes.
From the air, the swamp does indeed look man-made. The triangle shape also suggests the ancient symbol of a pyramid, a shape that has strong connections to Freemasonry.
Like, it just doesn't stop, man. Pick a fucking story. It's genuine nonsense. That's the thing. We don't need to hear a narration about the Freemasons. We're trying to figure out what's going on inside of Shakespeare's mystery box blind bag. Before heading back to Norway for what the show only describes as business.
He has just received a call that he must return home to Norway for business reasons.
Peter Amundsen assists Rick and Marty in a hands-on investigation of the swamp floor, where they find out that there are indeed rocks.
Could it be?
Now we can finally get to the metal detector guys. These guys are my favorite. Not only because they're super down to clown, they also help us wrap up the season 1 arc.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm so excited about being here. I got a really, really strong belief that there's something on Oak Island. I also believe that you two are gonna find it.
Yay! I like that guy.
This guy kind of looks like one of my old bosses. I'm not gonna lie, that's the only reason I ran this clip. Rick and this guy Steve get down and dirty in the water with the metal detector in hopes of getting a hit. And believe it or not, they actually do. After poking around the spot with a stick, Rick discovers a solid surface.
I'm gonna put my foot on that.
Okay, now hang on a second. Okay, that's the edge.
Okay.
Right there, right? So.
Okay. Is there anything here? Holy.
And it becomes clear that to investigate this supposed object, they're going to need something a lot more high-tech. This brings us into episode 5. Thank God. I'm gonna pass out. Episode 5 focuses entirely on the metal detection journey. In order to figure out what this mysterious object is, the team has specially ordered a large-scale metal detection system that can only be acquired from Germany. I'd like to make it clear that I only mention that because the show does. I genuinely don't give a shit. I don't. I'm so mad right now, actually. The giant metal detector, as we'll call it, reveals the same thing that the small one did. There's something there. It isn't until they hire another diver who specializes in mucky situations that they finally, guys, they finally find something.
There's something there. You must be getting hits.
You onto something?
Like it's maybe something small.
Oh. What is it?
This could be something big.
You serious?
Whoa. Whoa.
Is it a coin?
I believe this is a coin.
No.
You serious?
What?
A coin found in the Oak Island swamp?
That is
The hell is that? It's an A. What is it? Yeah.
Now, this is where I've chosen to put the video at a stopping point. Yeah. I'm tired. This coin is confirmed to be an antique coin, Spanish coin. Despite everything I've gone over in the video today, is them finding a Spanish coin cool? Yeah. But it stands to reason the following. If you dig really anywhere where there is record of historical activity at any point in history, for long enough, you're probably going to find something. But despite them being historical trinkets, whether they were placed there or not, none of them actually prove or support any of the theories that they brought up. There's this cross. They end up finding this cross at one point later on. I think this is probably like the coolest thing that they were able to find. But even this is such a universal symbol that you can find at many points throughout history. This isn't specific to the Knights Templar or fucking William Shakespeare. Here's what I will say about this show, though. The first season of this show has made me irrationally angry. But I will admit, similarly to earlier in the video, that I kind of want to know what happens throughout the rest of this series. But until then, that's the end of this video. It's gonna take me a minute to forgive my uncle for this one, and to forgive myself for going through this. There is a charm to this. I don't know what it is, but there is such a charm to Rick and Marty Lagina. Guys, this truly was just one of my classic rant videos. There's nothing deep here, all right? I'm just mad. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you want to see next time. Let me know if you want me to make myself angry like this. Again, unfortunately for you, but not for me, that is all that I have this time, but until next time.
Well, it's Rick and Morty time.